Applicant is Chris Gebhardt, and property owner is GL Property Development. This is an application for a variance to allow the installation of signs at an existing commercial site. One marquee sign is proposed on the building located in the R2250 medium-density residential zone, and 3 panels are proposed for replacement of an existing accessory ground sign located in the C2 community commercial zone, described as portions of lots 1 through 5 and 52, 54, and lots 9 through 17, tract number 4494. And let me just quickly go through some of the comments we received.
The file is right. Oh,
Okay. From police department, they have some concerns about poor lighting within the perimeter of the property, and they are recommending that better perimeter lighting, especially at night, be considered, or these are suggested conditions. So we want you to look into that, okay? And I think other than that, we have no communications or major concerns. So let's hear it from our case planner. Roger.
Okay. Good morning. The case before you this morning is a variance to allow the installation of signs at an existing commercial site, formerly the Albertsons.
And this is Roger Kiesel, Senior
yes.
Planner.
Okay. Sorry. Jumped right in.
Ahead.
Formerly, it was an Albertsons located at 1855 West Glendale Boulevard, and what they're proposing to become is a Smart and Final Extra. The applicant is requesting 1 marquee sign on the existing building in replacement of 3 sign panels on existing accessory ground structure. Variances are requested because the building, the actual building, is located in a residential zone, and marquee signs are not allowed in residential zones. And further, the maximum sign size that would be allowed is 100 square feet, and they're proposing 157 square feet. Additionally, the variance requests to allow 3 accessory ground signs on an existing ground sign support structure. A maximum of 2 accessory ground signs is permitted on this site because the site has 3 street frontages. They're allowed 1 sign per street frontage to a maximum of 2. The total aggregate area of these signs cannot exceed 75 square feet, and they are proposing 163 square feet. The sign is required to be 5 feet from the property line, and it is currently 2.5 feet from the property line. And then finally, the sign can exceed 8 feet in height, and the existing structure is 25 feet. Staff is supportive of granting these variances for a number of reasons. In 1996, a similar variance was granted, was requested and approved for this site, and that's detailed in the staff report. In 1965, a variance was granted to allow the location of a supermarket in a multifamily zone. And to allow only signs permitted in multifamily zone would significantly restrict the type of signs allowed on the building, such that few businesses could viably operate. Sign restrictions in residential zones are very limited. Additionally, while the marquee sign is 57 square feet larger than would otherwise be allowed, the building is set back significantly from West Glen Oaks Boulevard. If you note, most buildings along that street are right up against the property line or set back a little bit, but not as significantly as the existing building. It's about 270 square feet, or 270 feet back from the street. So staff thinks the extra square footage is warranted. Just to make things clear, the ground sign support structure will remain at its as it currently exists. The only thing that Smart and Final is proposing to do is change the panels on the structure. They're not proposing to do anything with the existing structure. Had more extensive changes to the sign structure and increase in the panel size been proposed, compliance with the current sign regulations would have been warranted. Given the limited scope of the proposed changes to the ground support structure, requiring compliance with would be an unnecessary hardship, as the current support structure and its location has not proven to be detrimental or to the public or surrounding properties. So the ground support structure that's located on the corner or near the corner of Allen and West Glen Oaks, that structure is remaining as it currently exists. The only thing they're proposing to do is take out the panels that say Albertsons and put in the panels that say Smart and Final Extra. As previously mentioned, approval of the variance in 1965 allowed the existing commercial building to be built in a multifamily zone. Commercial uses in residential zones are not common in the city or in the West Glen Oaks area. This situation warrants allowing the proposed marquee sign on the existing commercial building, which again is located in an R2250 residential zone. Granting the variances to allow the proposed marquee sign and the 3 accessory ground signs located on the 1 ground support structure would not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property and improvements on which they are located. Both the wall and the marquee signs, both wall and marquee signs are typically attached to commercial buildings to advertise the businesses located within them. And the previous tenant of the existing building received a variance approval for a total of 5 marquee signs, none of which proved to be detrimental. So there were previously 5 signs on the canopy of the building. Smart Final is just proposing 1. A variance, let's see, where was I? Sorry. Similarly, the ground support structure containing 3 signs has existed in its present location and configuration for a number of years, and in 1996, a variance was approved to do essentially what they're proposing to do now, to change the double-face sign, so the top sign, and to add 2 additional signs to the structure, which are the smaller signs below. This variance was approved. The present application is simply to change the face of those signs. No structural changes to the sign are proposed. And accessory ground signs are typically found in commercial zones and should not cause harm to the public welfare or improvements contained on the site. Again, staff is recommending approval of the variances.
So basically, the property has 2 zones, R2250 and the other one is C3?
The other one is
C2, community
C2,
commercial.
right.
And the existing accessory ground sign is located in the residential zone?
No, the accessory ground sign located at
On the corner
corner of Allen and Glen Oaks is located in a commercial zone.
Oh, is that commercial? Oh, okay.
That's
So
commercial.
That's the one. And the marquees are... Oh.
The entire building is located in the R2250 zone. So,
Do you know offhand where the dividing line is between the commercial and... I'm trying to...
I believe...
Is it about here? Or
I
over
believe
here?
it is either
About that?
right here or right here.
Okay,
Actually, I think it's right here.
I'm looking for the...
Oh, that's in your file.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm sure it's.
Somewhere.
No, I know the map is in there, but I'm sure it's right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So only about a quarter of the property is commercial one.
Right.
And do we consider the accessory ground sign non-conforming as far as height limitation in C2 zone is concerned, or is it still within the height limit?
It is not within the height limit.
So
The height
it's-
limit now is 8
for a
feet.
C2,
For C2 is 8 feet. The existing sign support structure is about 25.
did they need a variance for that height?
Not at the time.
Not at the time, okay.
Not at the time it was
I'm
constructed.
trying to clarify because I don't want this to come back to me and, okay. And back in 1996, the only variance was to change the facing of the sign.
Correct, because I believe at that point,
It was a double face sign.
well,
and-
at that point, the sign regulations had changed so that it was above the height limit.
Mhm.
And so the phase change required a variance. In addition, in 1996, the variance requested adding those two small signs below the big sign.
So the height has been covered.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the height isn't changing. It's been that way since that structure was built.
I know. What I'm trying to get at is to make sure that somewhere in the past or any time in the past that the height of that accessory ground sign was covered but by some kind of discretionary approval.
Well, at the time it was constructed, it didn't. It met code
Now
in
it's
terms of height.
non-conforming as
Now
far
it's non-conforming.
As far as height, yeah. Okay, thank you very much. And who's presenting the case? I don't have a speaker card.
Oh, you'll present. Okay, we'll need a speaker card after you speak.
After, go ahead.
Sorry about that. Hi, my name is Chris Gebhardt with Kerr Project Services. My address is 4655 Cass Street, Suite 200, San Diego, California. And we are the agent for the applicant, Smart and Final. And Roger did a great job of covering basically the reasons we are seeking these variances. Smart and Final is converting the former Albertson space. There's no change in use. Due to the mixed zoning of the site, the fact that it is residential in the area that the building is located, they're seeking variances for the wall signage, and then also a variance to keep the existing freestanding sign. To be competitive in this commercial market, of course, they need adequate signage in general, and then due to some specific features of this location, the signage that is existing is necessary for them to be competitive. As Roger mentioned, the building is set back quite a bit from the street, which hampers visibility from the street, as well as there's quite a bit of street trees along both Allen and Glen Oaks Boulevard that hamper visibility. Basically, they're seeking to keep the signage that was previously approved for the former use, the existing pylon and wall signage. And regarding the police department comment, We've looked at the street lighting. Smart and Final is definitely willing to look into that issue. As an operator, their concern definitely is for their customer safety and for security as well. So I'm not sure if that could be addressed as a condition to see, once it's open and operating, if there's an issue. I guess our only concern would be the location of where the police department is looking for additional lighting. We wouldn't want it to be an issue with the adjacent residential. I don't know if that'd be a concern from plannings.
We have some specs on those type of lighting, so we can work with you on those.
Okay. And I think, most of our reasons for seeking the variances were covered in the staff report. And Smart and Final is looking forward to, being a member of the community and getting the store open and operating, so it's no longer a vacant, dark store, and serving the community.
Okay, I have a few questions.
Okay.
Is Smart and Final going to be the only tenant for
Yes.
the entire building?
Yes.
And I was looking at the marquee sign.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just going to say Smart and Final Extra? Because I see all these other signs here.
That is the old signage.
That's all coming out.
That's all coming out. So it'll just be this.
I got a little bit, yeah. So it's only going to be just that.
Correct.
Okay. And that totals the 127 square feet.
167.
Okay.
157.
122 in length and 157 square feet in area.
157 square feet.
I was just looking into the way you did this. If they put this, I wanted it to look the same as that. They put this below. Is that gonna cut the square footage?
I don't know offhand. I would have to recalculate. What I did was I calculated the red portion of the sign, Smart and Final,
You just
and
projected
then
it all the way.
because the height of those letters is slightly less than the extra, so I calculated Smart and Final, and then I calculated the size of extra, and I put them together. So that adds up to 157. It's probably pretty similar.
So the preference would be that.
to make it look the same, or because I think it's gonna cut. 157 square feet is a little bit too much for me. And I'm letting you know right now where I'm coming from. The code allows 100 square feet. But if you're willing to reduce it a little bit, that's why I was thinking of making all the signs look the same. If you pull it down to make it look as what you have on the other ones, then it may cut back the square footage. Otherwise, you're almost asking for more, about an additional 57% of what's allowed by code. So if you want to speak, you're going to have to give me your name, address, and what's your relationship with the application.
My name is George Adams. I'm with Superior Electrical Advertising, 1700 West Anaheim Street in Long Beach, California. We're the ones who drew up the plans here and made the proposal. And what happens, they have a couple of different layouts for Smart and Final Extra. It's a new concept for them. And we have here a horizontal sign band on the building, which is where we start with what looks best on the sign band, which is actually their preferred layout. We were limited.
Are you talking about the
horizontal marquee sign?
right?
We have a like 5 foot by 25 foot or 30 foot, I'm not sure, maybe even 40 foot layout there. So we did that one first. We had to kind of adapt to the shape that Albertsons had on the pole sign and then go to our secondary layout, which is what we call the stacked layout. If we were to make the Smart and Final extra stacked on the building, the letters would have to get so small that you wouldn't be able to see them from West
Well, I'm
Glen
telling you,
Oaks.
you're applying for 3 signs that's already along Glen Oaks. I mean, if someone couldn't see that sign,
Well, actually,
they're not
if
going to look back really where the building is. They're going to look at that marquee sign. That's the most important
Yes.
identification,
Yes.
for identification purpose.
Well,
what I'm
if-
just trying to look at in the marquee is you're getting more than enough as far as the marquee signs is concerned. So I'm trying to see what you can do to scale it down or cut it down a little bit.
Well, we've already taken off the red background from the wall sign. We had a nice red background to provide contrast between the yellow letters and the white wall. So we've already taken that step. I would have to check with my customer, but I think that before we were to make the wall sign any smaller, so it ends up like La Quinta, where you can't even see the letters from the street and it really bothers the eye, I think they might actually be willing to take off 2 of the street signs that says saving your time, saving your money, quality guaranteed, before we interfered with the wall sign. Because the wall sign, you have to have something that really says you're there. Vaughn's only has 4 letters,
And you
so
th- and you-
100
yeah.
square feet is fine for them. Albertsons is a little longer, but unfortunately, we kind of have a long name.
Unfortunately, you also cannot have everything that was there before because of the non-conforming
Sure.
status.
And we don't want bakery or seafood.
So all I'm saying is, look into it, cut it back as far as the building is concerned, because I am driving along Glen Oaks Boulevard. I'm gonna look for the canopy first. That's the one that's gonna hit my eyes, and then looking back, it doesn't matter what's the size of the sign in that building. I know that's the building I'm looking at.
By the
or
canopy, do you
looking
mean
for.
the street sign?
The marquee sign?
You're first
The-
going to look at the marquee?
The canopy or the
Marquee.
structure
Oh, okay.
along
that's
Glen Oaks,
freestanding sign.
the freestanding sign
Okay.
along Glen Oaks, is the one that's going to give me the identification on that property.
Right.
Whatever happens and whatever signs you have on the building is not really going to matter that much, because I already know that's my destination. I reached the property or the site that I'm, going to be going into. So you guys decide and let me know. I'll take anything smaller than what you
a
have
few
in the
minutes
building
to
right
discuss
now.
it? Can we have a few minutes to discuss it today before?
Sure,
Adjourn,
sure. As long as that button is still green, it's gonna go to yellow, and then it's gonna stop. That's when everything stops.
Oh, okay.
So and you wanna, you're gonna have to fill out the green speaker's card while I have the next person in line. Go ahead, give me your name and address.
Mike Palmer, 1622 Citadel Drive, Commerce, California, and I represent the owner of the business Smart and Final Stores. I'm the project manager for the construction and design of the store. We are what we're willing to do. What is possible for the so-called marquee sign is to not eliminate the word extra, but we can drop it below and in the vicinity of the word final, below it, and reduce it in size enough that it'll come to some compromise size below 157 square feet.
Like I said,
would that
yeah,
be acceptable?
That's what I had in mind. So
Right.
it's up to you.
We'll try to drop it into the range of somewhere between 140 and 150 square feet, so it's more like in the 140 square foot range. But keep in mind, Mrs. Fuentes, that the existing Albertson signs that is there are much greater than 157
I know.
square
Forget
feet.
about the existing Albertson signs. We're dealing with your case, so I want you to look into that, reduction. That's
Yeah,
it.
we'll drop it down and we'll reduce the size of it.
Okay, you still have some time. Whoever else want to speak?
What
I guess my
size?
question would be, what is the process from here, since there is still kind of the outstanding, maybe we can get it addressed right now and get a number, kind of, if they can,
You can
Otherwise-
say we will look into reducing the square footage or the size of the marquee sign, and then you'll get back with the case planner, and he'll take it to me.
so the project would be continued?
No,
or-
I can take it under submission, and then we'll come up with whatever is acceptable. Anything reduction is much better than what you're proposing right now.
I have another question then. Is everything, regardless of the marquee sign, is everything okay with the freestanding sign?
I cannot tell you that right now. I'm going to take the case under submission. There are other conditions and items
Okay.
that I need to look into. So by law, I have 180 days to make a decision, but I normally issue it within a week or two, so you may need to meet again with the case planner.
So we will submit a revised sign package to Roger, and then,
I'll say, sit down with Roger first and see what's,
and then make a
acceptable.
decision.
I'll give him some directions.
And so at this point, it's kind of unclear where we stand with the,
I always take the case under submission, but you heard from the case planner, he's leaning into the positive, side of it. So
okay. Were there any other questions or
no, just
concerns?
reduction in the marquee sign area.
Yeah, that's not a problem. We'll reduce.
You need to.
Sorry. I apologize. Okay.
That's okay.
No, that's not a problem. If it comes down to modifying our proposed marquee sign, then we can work with Roger and reduce it accordingly.
Okay, good. I'll work with you. We'll work with you.
Great.
Anyway,
Excellent.
Thank
I
you very
appreciate
much.
it. Thank you very much.
Any other questions, Roger?
I don't have any.
Okay. So with that, I'm going to go ahead, take this case under submission, and we'll let you know.
Okay.
I am closing the public hearing at 12 minutes after 10. Thank you for coming.